All right, let's jump into a deep dive today that I think a lot of you are really going to enjoy. We're going to explore parallel universe and that idea that maybe versions of ourselves are trying to reach us from other realities. I got some YouTube videos from a channel called Quantum Wisdom. A lot of interesting stuff on this channel. So are we ready to explore this whole idea infinite use out?
You bet. And I think what makes it so fascinating is that this whole idea of parallel universes, it's not just science fiction anymore, is it? Physicists are looking into this stuff. And, you can even find this idea in ancient spiritual traditions. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah, definitely captures the imagination. I know I've always been super curious about those moments that make you kind of wonder, is there more to reality than we can see? So the videos we're going to be looking at, they actually explore those moments and those signs. Like, what are those signs that maybe our parallel selves are trying to communicate with?
Yeah. And before we even jump into the science, maybe it's good to just understand a bit about the science behind all of this, the theory. Have you ever heard of quantum entanglement?
I have.
No.
But I always feel like that's something straight out of Star Trek. Can you break it down for me?
Okay. Imagine you have two gloves. They're separated, like at birth. And then you open a box and you find one glove, and it's right-handed. So you instantly know that the other glove, even if it's miles and miles away, it has to be left-handed, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's kind of like that with quantum entanglement. It's like two particles linked in this way that kind of like breaks how we understand space and time. And so anything that happens to one particle, it instantly affects the other one, even if they're, billions of light years apart.
So it's almost like this invisible thread connecting them, even over like massive distances. Okay, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
But how does this link to parallel universe?
Okay, so this is where this idea called the many worlds interpretation comes in. And basically what it says is every time something happens at the quantum level, and this happens all the time, just constantly at this like subatomic level, every single possibility splits off into its own separate reality. So each choice, each little tiny event creates a branching path. So what you end up with is tons of parallel universe.
So there's a universe where I went skydiving instead of being too chicken to do it, and another one where I actually got the spicy curry instead of playing it safe.
Yeah, exactly. And in those other realities, there's you, but you made different choices. And you experience different outcomes, different consequences than the you in this reality. But then that leads us to another question. Could all these versions of ourselves, could they be aware of you, and could they be trying to reach us?
And that's where those signs you mentioned come in, right? The videos talk about things like deja vu and vivid dreams. But how do we know that's not just like normal human stuff?
Yeah. And that's where it gets really interesting because you have to really use your discernment. Like the videos encourage us to really pay attention to the intensity of and like how often they're happening. So like think about deja vu. We all experience it,
Yeah.
But what if you're experiencing it over and over and it's like around important decisions you're making in your life?
Yeah. And what if it's like tied to a strong gut feeling like I should do this or no, I shouldn't do this?
Yeah.
Like, could that be our parallel self, like sending us a message?
It's pretty wild to think about, right? What if those little intuitive nudges that we get, what if those are actually more than just random thoughts? Like, what if they're guidance from a version of ourselves, but one who's already gone through that?
Okay, yeah, no, that's kind of giving me chills. Okay, let's actually get into these signs now. What's the first one the videos discussed?
Okay, so the first one they talk about is deja vu, that feeling of been there, done that. And we often just brush it off as like our memories playing tricks on us, but what if it's something more? What if it's like our parallel self hitting the rewind button for us, giving us a chance to rethink things?
Yeah. So like that feeling of familiarity we get, maybe that's another me saying, hey, I already tried this. It doesn't end well. Maybe try something different.
Exactly. Or maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's just confirming you're on the right path. Maybe it's a version of you saying like, hey, good job.
I've definitely had moments of deja vu that like felt super profound, like, like a warning sign.
Yeah.
What about those dreams? Like those really, really vivid dreams where you wake up and you're like, whoa, I lived a whole other life. Could those be connected to parallel realities at all?
So the videos actually suggest that dreams might be like doorways to other realities. And when we dream, maybe we're tapping into the experiences of our other self.
So that dream I had where I was like a world famous musician, even though like I can barely play an instrument, could that have been like a glimpse into another reality, another me?
It's pretty wild, isn't it? Like pay attention to the detail, how you feel in those dreams. Do they feel super real? Are there symbols that keep popping up?
They also talk about paying attention to gut feeling. Those times when like your intuition is screaming, yes, do this, or no, don't do this.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't make sense. Could that be those parallel selves too?
It's interesting because it's like our intuition is the sixth sense, right? Maybe it's picking up signals from other versions of us that have already gone through something similar. What if those gut feelings are actually like whispers of wisdom from our parallel selves trying to guide us.
Okay, that's really cool. So like if I randomly have this urge to, I don't know, call a friend I haven't talked to in years, maybe that's my parallel self saying, hey, they need you. Reach out.
Yeah. It's like a cosmic nudge from another version of ourselves.
Oh. This is making me rethink a lot of things that have happened in my life. What are some other signs the videos talk about?
They get into things like recurring symbols or objects that you see, like, I don't know, you keep seeing white feathers, or maybe you see the number 11.11 everywhere. Like, what if that's not just coincidence? What if that's like the language that our parallel selves use to communicate with us?
So like if I keep finding pennies on the ground, maybe my parallel self is trying to tell me something about, I don't know, abundance or taking risks. I'm definitely going to start paying more attention to those little things now.
Totally. It's about being open to the possibility that there's a deeper meaning to those patterns. Maybe they're clues to help us understand ourselves and reality better.
This is fascinating. Any other signs?
Okay, so they talk about this feeling that some people describe, like almost like you're suddenly jumping timelines. So like you go to your favorite coffee shop, but suddenly it has a totally different name, and you could swear it's always been that way.
Wait, whoa, I think I've actually had something like that happen. It's like super unsettling, right? Like your memory is different from what's right in front of you. So could that be a sign that like realities are merging?
Maybe. What if in another reality, the coffee shop owner, they made a different choice and that created a different outcome, even if it's something small?
Yeah. It's like you said, a glitch in the matrix. What about those people that you meet and they just feel so familiar, like you've known them forever, even though you've literally just met? Is there a parallel universe explanation for that too?
Oh yeah, they talk about this idea of soul recognition across different realities. What if those super strong connections that you feel with like new people, what if that's actually like an echo of a relationship that you had in a past life or maybe in another dimension?
Oh, wow. So like that instant connection I felt with that person at the bookstore. Maybe we were best friends in another life.
It's a beautiful thought, right? Like there are certain souls that are just drawn to each other across different realities.
Okay, last one. And this is like a weird one. What about those random thoughts that just pop into our heads, the ones that you're just like, wait, where did that come from? That's not even me. Could those be messages from our parallel selves too?
The videos say it's possible. What if those thoughts are actually like glimpses into the minds of other versions of ourselves, crossing over into our awareness?
Like I suddenly get this burst of inspiration for a song, even though I've never written music before. Maybe that's like the musician version of me from another reality, sharing that energy.
Yeah, it's about being open to those unexpected bursts of information, those downloads, the inspiration. Maybe they're gifts from other versions of ourselves.
So we've talked about all these signs that maybe our parallel selves are trying to reach us. But what about the bigger picture? Like who or what is shaping our reality in general?
And that's where the video, who is secretly controlling reality, comes. And this one, it takes us down a rabbit hole exploring, those forces that are shaping our world, the ones we can see in the world.
Okay, I'm ready to go down the rabbit hole. Let's unpack this one. All right, so the rabbit hole you mentioned, the one about who or what is controlling reality. Where does this video, who is secretly controlling reality, take us?
Well, it starts by looking at the forces that we can all see.
Yeah.
Governments, corporations, they make the rules, right? They control information, and they definitely influence our choices.
Yeah. It's easy to see how those big systems kind of shape our lives. But I get the feeling that the video is saying there's like more to it than that. Like there are deeper levels of control happening.
Right. And it makes us think about who's controlling the controllers. Like, are there these unseen forces that are pulling the strings, even for the people in charge? And if so, like, what are...
Yeah, that's a huge question. What kind of unseen forces does the video talk about?
Well, this is where it gets kind of mind-blowing. They talk about this idea that reality at its core is vibration. Like everything, deep down is energy vibrating at different frequencies.
I've heard of that before, but I don't know if I totally get it. What does it mean that reality is vibration?
Okay, so think about sound. We know that sound is created by vibrations. Different frequencies create different notes. But what if everything in the universe, even our thoughts and emotions, work the same way? Like, what if our reality is shaped by the frequencies that we're tuned?
So you're saying that our experiences are affected by the energy we're putting out and taking in.
Exactly. And what this video is saying is that those frequencies can be manipulated, maybe on purpose, maybe not, to change our thoughts, our emotions, even our behavior.
Okay, can you give me like an example? How would that work?
Okay, think about music. Some types of music can really calm you down, right? And
Yeah.
and other types, like they get you energized or even make you feel kind of agitated. And that's because those different musical frequencies, they have different effects on us, on our nervous system. So now imagine applying that to like all the different parts of life.
Oh, okay. So like that catchy jingle in a commercial, it's not just about getting stuck in your head. It's about using specific frequencies to make you feel good about that product.
Right, right. That's one example. Or think about colors, like how certain colors are associated with certain emotion. Red often means passion or danger. Blue, it's more calming, peaceful. And it's not just random. It's because our bodies and minds, we respond to those different freak of light differently.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. So the video also talks about something called the collective consciousness, right? What is that?
So the collective consciousness, it's like this big energy field made up of everyone's thoughts and emotions and beliefs, all combined. It's this idea that we're all connected, not just physically, but energetically.
So if a lot of people focus on positive thoughts, like peace and love, could that actually change the collective consciousness and make the world a better place?
Yeah, that's the theory. Our thoughts and beliefs, they contribute to this larger energy that we all share. And whoever can tap into that, whoever can influence that collective consciousness, they could really shape what happens in the world.
Okay, that's powerful. And a little scary, too. If our thoughts have that much power, it really makes you think about what you're putting out there.
Yeah, totally. And the video doesn't stop there. It goes even deeper, exploring these ideas about, beings in other dimensions or spiritual forces that are shaping things behind this.
Okay, now we're getting into some really out there stuff. What does the video say about these higher dimensional beings?
It doesn't get into a ton of detail, but it suggests that there might be forces, beyond what we can even understand that are guiding our evolution or maybe orchestrating events on a huge scale, like on a cosmic scale.
So you're talking about beings that exist in other dimensions, like beyond our normal perception.
Exactly. Imagine an ant, right? It's crawling on a piece of paper, so it thinks the world is flat. Two-dimensional. It doesn't get the third dimension, the height of the paper, but we can see the bigger picture, right?
So you're saying maybe there are beings who are like above us, dimensionally speaking, and they can see and influence our reality in ways that we don't even get.
Yeah, that's the idea. And whether you believe in those beings or not, it makes you think about how much we don't know about the universe and all the forces at play.
For sure. It's a lot to consider. So with all of these different levels of control, the stuff we can see, the stuff we can't see, does the video offer any hope that we have any free will? Like, do our choices even matter?
That's a great question, and the video actually addresses that directly. It turns the focus back to us, back to the individual. It reminds us that we're not just puppets, We're co-creators of our reality.
Okay, I like that. But how much control can we really have when you consider everything we just talked about? Governments, corporations, frequencies, this collective consciousness, maybe even these higher dimensional beings. It's a lot.
It's not about pretending those forces don't exist or that they don't have any influence. It's about realizing that we have more power than we think to shape our own experiences.
So it's not about just like wishing our lives were different or pretending everything's perfect.
Right. It's about understanding that our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions, they all have a real impact. It's about choosing what we want to experience and being open to, the lessons that come our way.
I've heard that quote, the universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. That seems to fit with what you're saying.
That's a good one. The more we embody the things we want in life, love, abundance, joy, the more we attract those as we raise our vibration.
So if I want more adventure in my life or maybe more creativity, I have to start by cultivating those things within myself, like through my actions and my beliefs.
Exactly. Take little steps, maybe try a new hobby or do something that scares you. Those little actions, they create a ripple effect. They start to align you with the reality.
Okay, so we've talked about these forces that might be controlling reality, from the outside in. So now let's flip it. How can we as individuals shape our reality from the inside out?
That's what we're going to talk about next.
So we've explored all these external forces that might be like shaping our reality. The obvious ones like governments and corporations. And then those more subtle influences, frequency, the collective consciousness. But now I'm really curious about how we can tap into our own power to shape things, from within. Like, where do we even begin?
Well, the video says it all starts with awareness, like being mindful of our thoughts and choosing the ones that match the reality that we want to create.
So instead of like focusing on all the negative stuff or all the things that make us afraid, we can try to shift our focus to like all those good vibes.
Exactly. It's about moving our energy towards those positive frequencies and remembering that our thoughts actually do have a real impact on how we experience things.
So it's not just like positive thinking, right? Our thoughts actually help shape what happens to us.
Yeah, that's what the video is saying. Like, our beliefs are these filters, right? They shape how we see the world. And we tend to attract experiences that match those beliefs.
Oh, wow. Okay, so if I believe that I'm unlucky, I'm probably going to notice and experience more things that make me feel unlucky.
Right.
And the opposite is true too. Like, if I believe I'm a lucky person, I'll start to see more good luck in my life.
Right. It's about being aware of those stories that we tell ourselves, the narratives we create, and choosing to rewrite those stories so they empower us instead of holding us back.
The video also talks about questioning narratives and disconnecting from negative influences. What does that actually look like in real life?
Well, it's about thinking for yourself, right? Not just believing everything you hear from people in authority or the media. It's about finding different points of view, questioning things, and coming to your own conclusion.
So like turning off the news sometimes, unfollowing all those toxic accounts on social media, maybe spending more time in nature. Are those good steps?
Definitely. It's about creating space, where you can actually connect with your inner wisdom, your intuition, without all that outside noise.
And speaking of intuition, we were talking earlier about those gut feelings, those messages from our parallel self. How can we get better at trusting our intuition?
Meditation and journaling. That's what the video recommends. Meditation can help quiet your mind so you can hear those subtle messages, that inner guidance. And journaling can help you keep track of those intuitive hits and notice any patterns. That way you can start to understand what your intuition is trying to tell you.
So it's about deepening that relationship with ourselves, that connection with our inner voice.
Exactly. We have this inner compass that can guide us toward the life we're meant to live. It's about tuning in and trusting it.
This whole deep dive has been amazing. I mean, we've explored parallel universes. We've talked about all these forces that might be shaping our reality. But the biggest takeaway for me is that we're not helpless,
Yeah.
We can choose our thoughts, we can shape our beliefs, and we can create the life we want.
Absolutely. It's not about denying the challenges or pretending that life is always easy.
Yeah.
But we do have more power than we often realize.
So to anyone listening who's feeling a little lost or maybe a little overwhelmed by everything, just remember, you are not a pawn. You are a creator. You have the power to shape your own reality.
Yeah. Start by shifting your focus. What thoughts are you giving energy to? What beliefs are you holding on to? What can you do today to move toward the reality that you want?
And don't be afraid to listen to those intuitive nudges, those little whispers from your parallel self. Maybe they're out there in another dimension, cheering you on.
Because every choice you make, every thought, every action, it all matters. You're creating your own unique story. You're adding your own thread to this giant tapestry of reality.
That's a great way to put it. All right, well, on that note, we're going to leave you to think about all the possibilities out there. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep creating the reality that you want to see.